tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet. Get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. Text us, 865-658-5824. I'm so distracted with Jacob's shirt I just seen here. Look at my guy. It looks like he just got off a yacht somewhere, don't it?
Well, looks like Magnum PI over there, like that.
You guys don't like all drip? What's up?
All right, so we're off and running here in rare form as always. But I know we got Tim here live in Green Bay. We got Jacob up there on the Minnesota-Wisconsin border. Ready to talk a little Packers tonight. Obviously, we had signed an offensive lineman. We got some other news.
There we go.
Other news to cover as well. And, it's going to be a good show. We're going to try to get to Deadfish's email where he kind of breaks down the consensus big board where the prospects sat last year and where Goody took them. Really, he's got it for the last few years. We'll probably go back a couple of years and kind of see if we can draw any parallels there. So good to see you, Eric. Welcome to the chat, my friend. Let's do this. Let's get this thing cranked up right and give a shout out to our good friends over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access. Wisconsin-based since 1992, specializing in Packers tickets. They are Wisconsin's largest ticket source. They've got offices next to Lambeau Field as well as in Milwaukee. You can click on the link in the video description. That'll send you to theticketking.com where you can register for free as a customer. Get yourself ready for that May schedule release. Make sure you check with theticketking.com this year when you're looking to get Packers tickets. They're going to be able to save you money over some of the bigger name companies. Again, that is theticketking.com, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access. Appreciate them supporting us here, man. I've got a gnat swarming me in here right now. And I swear it's the size of a pterodactyl every time it goes across my face. This thing's huge. So if you guys see me doing this, I haven't been on the giggle bush. All right, I'm over here fighting for my life. But anyway, big announcement. Some of you have been following along. You already know, but we will be doing. The plan is a live draft party for all 7 rounds. Okay, I need some prayers because it's going to be a grind, but I'm excited about it. So I want to go ahead and officially announce that. We're going to be doing, like I said, a live draft party, a watch along, if you will. It is free. I know others are charging. We would never do that. not for the mediocrity that happens on this channel. So if you guys find yourself wanting to, hey, let's watch the draft and follow along from a Packers perspective, we're going to be breaking down the picks in real time. We're going to be tipping picks. Going to ahead and warn you, if you're one of those guys or gals that likes to wait for the build-up on TV until they announce the pick there, we're going to have the picks as soon as they hit. We're going to have Emilio here live in studio for day 2 there for the second and third round. I know Jacob and Tim, the plan is for them to be on with us the majority, if not all, the draft. We're going to have guys breaking down PFF grades. We're going to be looking at the live board. We're going to have my horizontal board, have access to it. We're going to have the consensus big board up, everything. So it's going to be an awesome time, just a way we can kind of follow along with the draft. And really, as the board starts to fall into place, go, okay, who's the best fits? We'll talk thresholds. We'll talk, like I said, the PFF rankings, all that good stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, one other thing I want to mention real quick is we're going to be doing the Paul Hornung autograph jersey giveaway. This is what the jersey looks like, okay? So you can see it's autographed by Paul Hornung. It's got the accolade sewn on, so it's got obviously his full name, Paul Vernon Hornung. It's got the Golden Boy, his nickname, 1957, round 1, pick 1, first pick in the draft that year. Super Bowl I champion, 4-time NFL champion, and 1986 Pro Football Hall of Fame inductee. So all that's sewn onto the jersey. It's exactly like the one I've got back here. So we're going to be giving one of those away on Not one of the draft. We'll probably have some other giveaways too for the rest of the draft, but we want to kick things off right in that regard. So anyone who is a member of our Patreon group, okay, this is a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the show. We're going to basically put everybody in the Patreon group name on the wheel, the pinky wheel there, if you will. We'll get that set up for you guys and gals. We're going to spin that thing and give it away there during round one. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, again, if you are interested in joining the Patreon group and supporting the channel, there's a link in the description of the video for that as well, or you could just go to Patreon and type in Packer Fan Total Access. Okay, it's all pretty much one word, Packer Fan Total Access. You'll see the group there. It's a really cool way for us to stay connected with those fans as well. I like to have the Patreon members kind of have access to that where they can message us directly, maybe have a topic for the show. We can ask the poll questions that we ask on Twitter, as well as throw them on there and get everybody's opinion. So we just wanted to mention about that giveaway. So Jacob, Tim, you excited about the draft party, man?
Man, I'm fired up. I can't wait. So what's on the menu? Are we gonna have some wings and some beer and some pizza? Are we gonna do like typical football type food, or are we gonna do anything? I'm just jealous because I'm not gonna be there in person like Emilio. So I got to know what you're putting together for the spread, man, so I can try and do something up at the house here.
I sent a picture and a video of kind of the setup here in the studio. You guys seen it probably for the first time all the way around. It's a really cool setup here. And Mandy has already got the table set. There's going to be a huge spread there. It's going to be awesome. But when Emilio comes up, the plan is I usually gain about 15 pounds draft weekend. Like I eat like a hog. People were making fun of Ryan's live stream last year because every time they see me on stream, I was eating something. That's just the way I roll. It's just a reason to eat as many calories as possible. But Emilio and his Italian heritage there, we got a really cool Italian restaurant in town that we're going to hit. So I'm going to have that catered in. Just probably ask him what his favorite two, entrees are, that type of thing. Everything on their menu is just absolutely awesome. So we're going to have that spread. We're going to have pizza. It's going to be authentic Italian. That's what's on the menu here. Now for round one, my tradition, and people will make fun of me. I don't care. When you grow up in the trailer park, this is the way it is. Do Pizza Hut stuffed crust, hit me with it, man. I'm all about it. So that's what I'll be having, not one. What about you, Tim? Are you more of a wing guy?
No, I'm definitely a pizza guy. I love pizza. I could eat pizza every day. If I was allowed to do that, but I'm not. So I'll probably follow your lead. I think we'll try and hook up some Italian too. Maybe some pizza, maybe a little pasta or something. What about you, Jacob? What are you gonna do? You gonna jump on board? You gonna make some chicken cutlets, or what are you gonna hook up?
All vegan menus. What it's going to be?
You know what? I'm gonna try to do something eccentric. First of all, today I secured the fact that I will be available for all 7 rounds of the draft.
Oh, get it on.
I was able to get Saturday off completely, so that's great. And in addition to that, man, I guess I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I want to try something crazy. Maybe like some gator.
Let's go.
I'm feeling like my inner Theo Vaughn coming out right now. Man, I want to eat a kangaroo,
Theo Vaughn is the best, dude. God, he's the best. Yeah, so the big thing too next year for the draft in Green Bay, and I know it's a full year out. We've already secured the HQ, so we've got us a Airbnb right there in the heart of Green Bay. So we'll be doing our live draft show from that establishment. I'm going to reach out to a couple of people that we've got to know really, really well. Have went above and beyond out of their way to support the channel this whole year, and send them a special invite. If they're in town and they find themselves like, man, I don't really have anywhere to watch the draft other than to stand in Lambeau Field parking lot and look at a big screen, maybe they can hop over and join the live broadcast, if you will. There's a couple people that come to mind. It's just, again, they just went above and beyond supporting the channel over and over and over. We want to make sure that we're taking care of them too. I think that would be cool. So we got that set up, but this year, man, we still got a lot of work to do too, as far as getting ready for the draft. I know we've done a ton of mocks. We got the board just about complete, but what's really cool is now the important mock drafts are starting to hit, right? Peter Schrager just did his first of 2 mocks. Peter's usually real real accurate in what he does. I think Daniel Jeremiah was the best last year as far as accuracy. So we'll pay attention to his final mock drafts because these guys are hearing rumors behind the scenes and they've got connections in every single building, right? So we want to see, all right, which way are they leaning, because that's going to shape up whether the Packers are willing to trade up. Maybe if they trade back, if there's multiple choices there to pick at 25, it's just it's going to be a lot of fun this year.
Schrags is the man, dude. I like Peter Schrager. He's I think he's like accurately predicted the last like 3 or 4 or 5 Super Bowls in a row or something like that. Something crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are plugged in different ways, so it's always cool to get as much info as you can, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And the big thing too is like you got to really understand who you're listening to, right? And be picky with that. Don't just take every bit of information you find, but also be willing to lower your ego and be like, okay, these guys, they've got some really good connections. And if anyone's rolling their eyes going, Peter Schrager, what does he know? That dude, if you ever listen to his podcast, right? I think it's called what's it called? The C. I can't remember the name of it, but he has pretty much interviewed every important, like he had Matt LaFleur on that too. Like he's got all these connections with coaches, right? Where he'll actually sit down and interview them and have a deep conversation about their upbringing and all that through the game. So when they're that well connected, they're not going to spill any information that the coaches don't want him to spill. But at the same time, those coaches know he's got a job to do. So they're kind of passing info along. They're plugged in way more than the self-proclaimed draft experts that are on Twitter right now, with I ain't even going to get there, but anyway. So it's Peter Schrager's one, but my favorite is Daniel Jeremiah. I feel like he is as connected as anyone. So yeah, Ron Sample asked the important question here, Tim. He says, who the hell is Mel Kiper anyway?
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper anyway?
Anyway.
Attaboy.
How do you spell that? How do you spell it, Jacob? In a way.
Anyway. ANAWHAA.
I was going to say INNA in a way.
Quick here, Clayton. Mr. Blake B says that he lives 30 minutes outside of Detroit and that him and the fam are going to be there on night 2, decked out in the green and gold. Let's
go, Blake. Maybe you can give us a call from hit me up on Twitter, Blake, and maybe I can get you the link if you want to kind of call in, tell us what the vibe's like there. That's the other thing too. I've got a connection. I'm not going to say the name. Hopefully it doesn't fall through. He's going to be extremely busy, but we have someone in the building at Lambeau Field this year for the draft. He's going to be doing media stuff, and he is willing to try to call into the show in spurts. If he gets a little bit of free time, he's going to just tell us. So what we may have boots on the ground in Lambeau as the picks are coming in and things are unfolding, things like that. So no promises. Don't want to mention the name, put any pressure on him. But I was just chatting with him earlier, and hopefully they can make that happen. That would be really cool too. So
it's Mel Kiper, isn't it?
It is Mel Kiper, right? It's actually Mel Kiper's barber. So he's going to be in the building.
That guy doesn't have any free time, man. He's working on that hair every other day, man.
Oh my gosh.
Blake B says, I'll do that, Clayton. Thanks. Yeah, thank you, buddy. Just like I said, man, just a quick call in. Like I said, we can get you the link and you can just let us know what the environment's like. I don't care where the draft's going to be. I think the NFL does an excellent job putting it on, right? Nashville to me looked like it was the best. I wish I'd went to that because they said that was Jacob. They just closed down the main strip and it was just everybody in the streets. It looked amazing, bro.
Yeah, no, it was, that was like around the time too, when the Preds, I think, made it the farthest they've ever been in the playoffs, and like they literally would close down Broadway and people would just flood the streets. They'd put up a massive big screen. They said it was the biggest outdoor event that they'd had. Like there's been multiple times that they've flooded that area, but it was something like you've never seen before. It was crazy.
Yeah. And I heard major like national sports media guys say they did it right. But that's Nashville. I'm not trying to sound biased, but when you get into the South and like the Southern hospitality kind of takes over, man, it's wild. And don't get me wrong, that caught me off guard. There's bad parts of Nashville too, but when they bring an event like that, they kind of clean everything up, push everything out, and you really get that full Nashville, Tennessee country music capital of the world feel, the effects. So, yeah. Las Vegas is a party town that it is. You go down there on a Saturday night and the honky-tonk doors are just open and you just walk down the strip with a ice cold daddy soda. It doesn't get any better, man.
Either that or some nice bowl of chili and a Mountain Dew.
I tried this one chili and it set my mouth on fire, and I had to drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
See, we're over here. We're 15 minutes into the pod, and we're already talking. All we've done is talk food, talk drinking, talk partying, talk. This show sucks. Let's get to it. All right. Somebody's going to give me something here, Clay. I'm working right now, and I want to make this move along. So we had a huge signing today. Future Hall of Famer Andre Dillard was signed at the tackle position to the Green Bay Packers. I know everybody kind of had the same reaction. Tim, I'm sure you had the same reaction I did. It was who? Right, so we took a glance at it and pulled the PFF card. I just want to say that if you got children in the room, might want to have them look away. Viewer discretion is advised because this is ugly, boys. Andre Dillard, according to PFF, all right, 2023 PFF grade was 51.0. 2022, 58.3. 2021, 69.6, not bad. 2019 was 59.7. So you're looking at a ceiling so far in his career. And again, PFF isn't everything, although people were posting the statistics about blown blocks, sack or pressure percentage allowed, all that stuff. It was not pretty. You're looking at a ceiling of about 69 and a floor of around 51. So what does this signing mean is really the question we want to ask ourselves, right? And I'll go around the horn with that. Jacob, I'll start with you, man. What do you think that the Andre Dillard signing suggests? Because I know that, like Eric Sutherland mentioned earlier in the chat before we even started the show, I think it was the first comment in the chat, said something along the lines of, does this mean we move Zach Tom to center now? You're kind of creating a little bit of depth at tackle. Are we reading too deep into it? I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make it out of camp, to be honest with you. It just doesn't look good to me. What do you think, Jake?
He can't block.
As Emilio would say, he can't block.
That's what I think. I don't know, man. Me and Justin were chatting about it in our group chat, the opposite one that I cheat on you guys with. We were just thinking that, like, maybe it's one of those situations where we've looked at what we've done in the past, bringing in guys like Razul, Devondre.
That's a great point.
Other people that at the time people were like, these guys they're washed. There's nothing left there. There's nothing in the tank, or maybe there was never anything there. Bring a guy like Dillard in, who he was a first round draft pick. He was picked 22nd overall. He had one decent year where you're like, okay, I could see maybe there's something there. I mean, the Packers, if they are making this signing with the expectations that, like, he's the floor of the absolute floor at our tackle position, and it frees us up to maybe go a different route in the draft, in a better position of need in their eyes, I'm okay with it. And even honestly, I'm okay with them just keeping him as a backup. If they are planning on plugging him in any way, then I start to really be like, what are you doing to me? Don't do this.
Yeah, he's got 6'5", 313, I think is what the card said.
Yeah.
So 315, yeah, pretty big old boy there. Tim, what do you think, man? What do you think we got in a Andre Dillard here, man?
This is just like I don't know. If he was a quarterback, we'd call him a camp arm, right? I'm right with you. I think he's
camp body, dude.
Camp body. There you go. Which camp is that's not a knock. It's just, it is what it is. You gotta get bodies in there. We got to see what these guys are working with. I'm with Jacob. If he ends up, making the 53 for some reason, I guess it's depth, right? He's a backup tackle. Maybe he can play both sides. Maybe he's a swing tackle. Gives us some flexibility. Not necessarily just moving Zach Tom over to center hypothetically, but just giving us some flexibility on that line as you fight through, 17 game season. You're going to have injuries. Guys are going to be banged up. It's just part of football. So having a little extra depth doesn't hurt. But it starts by bringing a guy in early and seeing what he's working with, get him into camp, and see if he can play his way onto the team, right?
Yeah, Jacob says, show me what you're working with, right, Jacob?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So
Coach Len, though, he said a great point. He says their whole O-line was a mess last year. Watch us develop them. The intangibles are there. I mean, you don't go first round if you don't have the skills to do that. You know what I mean? So
yeah. The skills to pay the bills, man. So you see here, this was a consensus big board in 2019. He was the 19th prospect in the draft. So what it tells you is the Packers taking a flyer on him and saying, all right, let's get him for cheap, bring him in, see what he can do. They had a high draft grade on him. I guarantee you they had a first-round grade on him. So they're looking at it from that perspective. you never know, man. A fresh start. Again, PFF isn't everything. We got to say that. I don't mean to say that over and over, but it's important. Go ahead, Jake.
Just look at this list right here, guys. This wasn't that long ago. Do you recognize any names on that list other than maybe Greg Little, maybe
Jonah Williams?
Yeah, Dalton. I mean, just really think about that.
Yeah, these are all the tackles.
Look at there, 292.
That's Snyder.
Yeah. That is wild, isn't it, man?
Just saying, man. I mean, granted, that's a decent amount of time ago, but
right. No, but it's important to look back at this stuff, man, and it's kind of what we're going to do with Deadfish's email here in a second. But yeah, Andre Dillard, he looked like he peaked at number 1 too, and you can kind of see. Now, check this out. This is a perfect exercise here. What do I always say? Like when I put the consensus big board information into my draft board, I always revert back to January, right? Because this is when the college football season wrapped up. Look where he was in January. Let's just start the 5th. He was ranked 97th, 59th, dropped down to 83rd, jumped back up to 59th, 57th, right? Went on January 29th, dropped down to 89th. And then look at this. What happened in February, I wonder, fellas? Isn't that right about the time that the combine happens and you start getting measurables and people are getting ready? And look how he jumped. He literally, there was no football played, and he went from 89th to 35th, right? And then he just did nothing but rise from there. I think he peaked right before the draft. The week of the draft, he had peaked at the 19th spot. So, and I'm not trying to dog on anybody. I'm just saying, like, that's where you've got to be careful with that stuff, right? Because it who knows if he had gotten drafted around the 90 spot where he was originally sitting with the consensus big board, maybe there would have been less pressure. Maybe someone would have looked at like, okay, we need to develop them. You wouldn't have thrown them into the fire. And once a player loses their confidence, man, that's a whole different ballgame. I'm sure Coach Lynn, having experience playing in the past, he can attest to that. Like you get your confidence, your ego knocked around just a touch, man. And that stuff can spiral. It can snowball out of control, man. So Doug right here? He had a 9.81. Yeah.
They were going back and forth in the chat trying to figure this out. But you know what? Too Old for This made the best point that I think anybody's made in a while on this podcast is, at previous teams, he did not have Bo Melton, and now he does. He'll be fine.
There you go, man. That is that's the secret sauce there, if you will. So,
but on a more serious note, Coach Len says here that it's a good point to you, Clayton, and they still have that grade on them, and kind of people almost like a Bo Melton, where it's like for whatever reason, one man's trash is another man's treasure kind of thing. It's possible that they saw him and they had them on their horizontal board at a point where they're like, yo, we got to get this guy right now. That's a possible first round draft pick that just got cut after 3-4 years,
Yeah, definitely, man. So we'll see what he can do, man. Watch him come in and just light it up. Watch him compete at right tackle, win the right tackle spot. We kick Tom over to center and they both make the Pro Bowl. I would laugh my rear end. It would just be absolutely awesome. Again, we're wishful thinking, but it's just important to keep our finger on the pulse there. So is he just a right tackle? Let's see. How can we find that information? PFF would be the best way to do that, right, guys?
Yep.
Let me
probably. Yeah.
You guys talk for a minute. Buy me some time here. I'm going to see if I can run that down real quick.
Jacob, what do you think as far as the draft? Does this impact us taking O-line early in the draft? Probably not, right?
I don't know. Like you said, it's the biggest point is that they get them in early to see what they can have. I'm sure they're going to work them out, evaluate them. Whenever OTAs, I think we're done obviously before the draft actually starts, but it gives them a chance to see where, I guess, I don't know if it's really going to affect. I would say if anything, it's going to more give them an absolute floor. That's what me and Justin were talking about. That like they know what they've seen in this guy after 4 years now, year 5. They know that he has peaked at like right around a 70. So like if he's actually hitting on all cylinders, he's a average guy. So like to have that average security blanket as your second or third string left tackle or right tackle or your swing
especially
tackle,
if you're planning on taking a young tackle in the draft, right? Yeah, I agree.
So I think it actually might be kind of smart. But I have to see what they're giving him. I'd have to imagine it's not that much money.
All right, let's see here. I've got his PFF. Let's just pull up the site real quick and see if we can figure out where his snaps were. Let's see if we view his career in premium snaps. I think we should be able to find something here. Maybe not. Yeah, here we go. So Last year in Tennessee, keep in mind, 2019 through 2022, he played for the Philadelphia Eagles, and then last year he played for the Titans. So last year, all 562 snaps were at left tackle. He played only 37 snaps, it looks like, in 2022, and they tried to move him around from left tackle, left guard, right guard. And then his rookie year, he played 276 snaps at left tackle, 34 snaps at right tackle. And it looks like 26 snaps he might have played like that extra tight end role. So
not a swing tackle. Definitely a left tackle.
More experience at left tackle, and possibly if he makes the roster and he becomes that swing tackle, he might be one of those guys that we put in on those heavy tight end sets, because he had, like I said, like 20, 30 snaps in that role. It looked like what they referred to as ITE, and I'm sure that's what they meant, like a big I tight end type set. So we'll see though. Again, got to get the bodies in here and see what they can do, right? And what's cool is you sign him now, get him in here for the OTA stuff, let him get in there and start working out. Let the offensive line coach get their hands on him a bit and say, all right, what is he going to be best at, right? So Dane Stromstad, a heavy supporter in the Patreon group. Appreciate you, Dane. You support us for a long time, buddy. We really, really appreciate you supporting the pod. He says Spoff and Wes, talking about Mike Spofford and Wes Hockowitz, mentioned that Goody tends to make sure he is not backed into a corner for the draft, way behind due to crappy cell service at Walmart. So got it, buddy. So he's a little bit behind, evidently shopping in Walmart. So that's a good point. Like, build the floor, man. Build the floor now with all these bargain discounts, right? Jacob, you're all about that, ain't you? We could tell with the shirt there, man. You just got to get those deals, right? I'm joking.
I actually did get this at Walmart, and it's not very expensive. Believe it or not.
What is that hat you got? I didn't even know what the logo is on that hat right there.
It's old style, man.
All right.
Old style.
Every time you've ever seen somebody drinking an old style, you're always like, look at that distinguished gentleman.
Love it.
At least that's what I say.
There is your Andre Dillard talk. All right. Now, let's get into what we were going to share from Deadfish. I'm really excited about this because this was a lot of fun, kind of looking into what he uncovered as far as where the Packers took guys in the most recent drafts and where they were on the consensus big board. All right, so we'll just kind of walk down the line here real quick. I know I've got a few notes as well. I tried to do them in order, screwed it up a little bit. He has them in order. If you look at this, basically what you're going to be looking at, guys, I'll zoom in here. That number on the right is where we took him, right? And the number on the left is where he was on the consensus big board. So I'll try to read this off for the listeners on the pod so it makes a little sense here. So the first pick in the 2023 draft for the Green Bay Packers was Lucas Van Ness, okay? We took him in the 13 spot. He was sitting number 15 on the consensus big board the day of the draft. All right. With the second pick at the 42 spot, we took Luke Musgrave. He was sitting in the 50 spot. Okay, so we reached a little bit there. First two picks, we reached a touch. With the third pick for the Packers in the 2023 draft, we took Tucker Kraft. We took him at 78. He was sitting in the 78 spot. All right, so right there on the button. Jaden Reed, the fourth pick we took him with the 50th pick. And again, he's going in order of where they sit on the consensus big board. So it may seem a little confusing. I'm just going to go in the order he has them here, though. Okay. So Jaden Reed, we drafted at number 50. He was 89 on the big board. So we reached 49 spots according to the consensus big board. This is a prime example of the consensus big board is nothing more than an opportunity for media members and some people that we have a whole lot of respect for within the media, right? It's not just, I don't say that like as a derogatory way. It's just, let's take all this information. Where does everyone see these guys stacking up? It doesn't mean it's the tell all end all, right? That, all right, this is the true value of this player. That's why I take the consensus big board and put it with a couple other websites and kind of make my draft board so you get a really well-rounded version of the consensus big board in a sense. So 49 spots they reached for Jaden Reed. I think everyone would agree, looking back now, probably a first-round talent in Jaden Reed. I'm going to get your all's take to get through the list here real quick. But up next, sitting at the 115 spot on the consensus big board, we took Carl Brooks at 179. So this is the first player, the fifth pick for the Packers here, as far as where they sat on the consensus big board. He fell. How many spots is that, guys? Is that what, 64 spots? Am I thinking right? No?
Math is hard.
It really is. Yeah, it's 64, right? Yeah. So he fell.
64. That's pretty close to
65%.
65%. That's what That's right, Uncle Mark. So he fell 64 spots, and the Packers like, we can't pass up on this guy. Now, some people were going, well, why didn't we take him sooner? He was a really good pick. Like, he was a great ball player. RAS. Like, again, the big threshold talk and this and that. Some people pretend like it doesn't matter. Others pretend like it's just, oh my gosh, they'll never take a player that doesn't meet the threshold. Carl Brooks is one of those guys that had a low RAS. He lit it up, right? And I guarantee you that's why he fell, was because of that RAS. So not just the RAS specifically, but how teams look at the athletic scoring, right? So next is Kobe Wooden. He was sitting in the 150 spot. We got him at 116. So we have back-to-back picks, right? Actually, we reached on him. So we reached however many spots that is, Kobe Wooden. I think I got it wrote down here. We reached 34 spots, right? So a bit of a reach for Kobe Wooden. I personally think Kobe Wooden, the question's still out on him. Pretty good special teams play, right? Blocking kicks, things like that. But I'm still kind of I expected him to be the better of the two when it comes to him and Carl Brooks. Obviously, I was wrong. Carl Brooks is a dog. I think he's going to be one of the future defensive linemen for the Packers on the interior for sure. And we may go into a 4-3. Don't rule out them putting Carl Brooks on the edge like he played at Bowling Green, too. He was a big 300-pound defensive end at Bowling Green. What's that?
So that's what John Schmidt saying here in the chat. Says Brooks was also a DT that played edge at small school at Bowling Green. There.
Boom. Exactly. So, all right, next we got our man Dontavian Wicks.
Now, there's the guy.
It's hard not to get excited, man, when you see his name. And listen, there's some typos here. Deadfish had a couple daddy sodas. It's all right. It happens to all of us, right? Dontavian Wicks, 162 on the big board. We took him at 159. I mean, right there, just 3 spots, right? Just three marks away from being right on the button there, if I'm looking at that correctly, right? Yeah. So really, really close to where he sat on the consensus big board, and he just ended up being a stud. Grant Dubose was sitting in the 213 spot. We drafted him at 256, so he fell to us. Carrington Valentine was in the 232 spot. We drafted him at 232. So that's the second player. It was right on the nose with the consensus big board. Here's your boy Brenton Cox Jr. He's got it Brandon Cox. That's all right. He meant Brenton Cox Jr. 245 on the big board. We got him undrafted, right? Anthony Johnson Jr., 253 on the big board. We took him at 253. So 3 draft picks right on the nose there as far as the consensus big board.
Fingers crossed for Ant Johnson Jr. this year, guy that I've got my eye on in the secondary coming up behind Xavier McKinney. See how he develops in year 2.
And we were talking about Andre Dillard, right? This is kind of one of those examples. You're talking about a 7th-round pick that was just thrust into a starting role, right?
Yep.
It's like if he had a year or 2 to develop, maybe that turns out a little bit different. So maybe signing Xavier McKinney, if you do go out and you draft, say, a Javon Bullard, or you somehow land a Tyler Nubin or a Oladapo, someone like that step into that starting role, maybe Anthony Johnson Jr. can take a step back, play special teams more, and develop a little bit more, right?
Yep.
It's a good thing that he got that experience. There's no doubt about that. But tight end Ben Sims was sitting at 324. The Vikings signed him as an undrafted free agent, and then I think we poached him off the Vikings, if I remember correctly. At 371, I don't even know who this guy is. I didn't even know he was on our roster at any point. Jack Podlensky?
Who?
Podlenski.
You know who he is, Jacob?
I thought he was a long snapper, but I could be crazy.
I don't know. I think he was showing up as a kicker when I pulled him up.
Oh, that could be right. Yeah, I think he was somewhere in special teams.
I don't know, man. Anyway, Anders Carlson, 372. We got him at 372. That's pretty wild, right? Benny Sapp III, sitting in the 376 spot. We got him as an undrafted free agent, obviously. Lou Nichols III. This one was interesting. He was sitting in the 384 spot on the consensus big board. We took him at the 235 with the 235 pick, and obviously he had the injury settlement with the shoulder injury and is no longer in the league to the best of my knowledge. Sean Clifford, you want to talk about a reach here, fellas? This is what we were talking about on the pod, I think, when Carly asked the question last night, right? He was in the 423 spot on the consensus big board, and we used the 149th pick on Sean Clifford, which tells you what they really think of Sean Clifford. Malik Heath, 429.
Yeah.
We got him undrafted. So
that is my favorite of the undrafted free agents right
Right.
there. Malik Heath. Probably Malik Heath and Brenton Cox Jr. are probably my two favorites from the undrafted free agent pool.
absolutely. Jacob, when you look at this list, man, if you're trying to draw a parallel or trying to gain some kind of information for this year's draft, what sticks out to you here, man?
I mean, honestly, the biggest one is the Sean Clifford one. Like, to see it on paper that like they pretty much moved up 300 spots to draft a guy that you would have to assume for sure would have been in UDFA shows that they have some sort of plan for him. And even if that plan means that he is just going to be Jordan Love's gopher or whatever, but I have to think that it has to do with the fact that Sean Clifford was like one of the most experienced quarterbacks. He played a ton of football, in a really competitive league. So I don't know. I find it a hard sell for me to think that they're actually going to take a quarterback within the first 5 rounds just because of the fact that they did. I mean, that's a big draft pick to give to a guy that
is, man.
To just let go the next year. I don't see that happening. Maybe I'm crazy and I might look like an idiot, but and I really do honestly think that Brenton Cox Jr., we've talked about how our lack of edge depth now, especially with Kingsley going to be maybe whenever. We don't know when he's coming back. And with Gary and Preston, we're just one injury away. With LVN is the only other really decent backup there. Like, I can see Brenton Cox Jr. actually starting to see, especially if it's just like a third down pass situation, maybe see more playing time. If he actually makes it 53, I'm going to get me a Cox jersey.
There you go.
Maybe it's because of the fact that, with Aaron's departure and then Jay Love obviously stepping up the rungs. I mean, who was behind Jordan Love, at the end of 2022? Who was behind Jordan Love? Do you even remember? Who was our third string quarterback?
Going into that year, it's a great question because you signed Mr. Magoo after he won the MVP, right, of the USFL. But
Right.
That wasn't the third stringer. So
right, so they trade Rodgers to the Jets. We know we're moving Jordan up. Maybe the Sean Clifford move was like, oh my gosh, get us a quarterback. And clearly
and not just that,
high on him.
One with a lot of experience, right, Tim? Like he played a bunch of college ball.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That makes sense.
The thing is, they could have had Danny Etling was the backup.
There you go, Danny Etling. Okay.
But the thing is they actually like Danny Etling, and if they wanted to, they could have grabbed 25 bums. They could have signed Joe Flacco. They could have signed, you know what I mean? Guys.
Well, I think that's why they moved on from Etling ultimately, is that he just kind of aged out. He was, not a spring chicken anymore, and we're going young. So,
giggity.
Yep. Sorry, that was Leo DiCaprio in the house there for just a second. He said we're going young, and Leo stepped in there with a
giggity.
Leo came in there like,
the focus in that man's eyes, man. The bowler, not Leo DiCaprio. Well, both, I guess. So here's what's interesting about Sean Clifford. We took him at 149. After him, we took Dontavian Wicks. After Dontavian Wicks, we took Carl Brooks. So I know there's some people that's going, it's pick 149. You just take a shot. Guys, we hit on – if there's another player of those two caliber out there, we chose Sean Clifford over them, right? Just theoretically speaking. It really says how much they like Sean Clifford, And Jacob, I understand what you were saying last night too, man. Like you kind of want to see what he's got from time to time. Nobody wants to see Jordan Love go down, right? So don't misunderstand me here. But I know if for some reason Jordan gets banged up and he has to miss a game, I'm kind of excited to see what Sean Clifford can do because he's like Matt LaFleur said, he's a gamer. He's one of the guys. He beat out Will Levis for the starting job at Penn State. Will Levis was a borderline first-round pick in last year's draft. Like Sean Clifford can play ball, right? It's not like
him in the preseason.
That might be true. I'm just going to be honest. I hope he never sees a down of football.
Oh, absolutely. I got to hit you with one of these right here real quick, Tim. Let me see here. There you go. I'm with you on that, my man. So it's just it's interesting to look back. Like I said, on this draft and kind of looking at the consensus big board right now, and we're going, okay, where are the Packers going to pick? And the reason I want to take a look at this, when Deadfish emailed it over, man, I lit up like a Christmas tree. I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is great info. I didn't have time to break this down, so thank God he did that. So what you're essentially looking at is with the 13th pick, we reached 2 spots for our first-round pick last year, according to the consensus big board. With the second pick, or the 50th pick, I should say, we reached 8 spots for Musgrave. All right. For the Jaden Reed pick, which was in the second round as well, right? Or was it? No, it was pick 89, wasn't it? Was that a third? Am I thinking right? No, 50th, the 50th pick. Yeah. So another second round pick. With the 50th pick, we reached 39 spots for Jaden Reed. Okay. Now you move on to, let's just slide down to the 116th pick, which was Kobe Wooden. We reached 34 spots there. With the 149th pick for Sean Clifford, we reached 274 spots to get him. With the 159th pick, which was Dontavian Wicks, we reached 12 picks. So why am I mentioning that? Some people go, this information is useless. I disagree, man. You've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the top 6 picks. According to the consensus big board, we reached on all those picks. So when you take a look at the consensus big board this year, and when we're doing our live draft show, you got to look up and go, okay, the Packers are probably willing to take someone a little bit lower. You guys remember they reached for Quay, right? Let's slide down here a bit. Let's just go ahead and look at this. 2022, Devontae Wyatt, we took him with the 28th pick, right? He was 24th on the board, so he fell to us, okay? And people say, well, he was 25 years old. That wasn't that, that kind of shoots the threshold, down the drain. Maybe they had such a high grade on him that when he fell in the Packers' lap, they couldn't pass up on him, right? But look right here, Christian Watson, okay, with the 34th pick, we reached 7 spots for him according to the consensus big board. Quay Walker, we took him with the 22nd pick, and he was 49th on the board. So we reached, how many spots is that, Jacob? 17? 27, right? Yeah, 27 spots. So we reached 27. You're seeing a theme here, right? Now, Sean Ryan, obviously, he was 87th on the consensus big board. He fell in our lap at 92. Some people are going, I wish you hadn't. Calm down. All right, let's give him a little bit of time. Kingsley Nibare. I remember this draft and being live with Ryan on his draft stream and saying a couple rounds in a row, like Kingsley Nibare is the best player on the board right now. Right? He was so high on my board. He was 91st on the consensus big board. We took him at 179. So this draft here, people were kind of falling to us, right? For the most part. Rasheed Walker, we took him at 248. He was 108 on the big board. You remember that, Jake? I remember you specifically talking about that a couple of nights ago, right?
Giggity. Yeah. That's another big one. But then, man, I forgot about that. Yeah, that he was such a... I don't understand that really, why he ended up falling so far in that draft, but hey, good.
I think it might have something to do with how he treated an opponent on the tape there that one time. He went straight Quagmire on him.
That's true. Yeah, I think they had to take a police report after that game.
Exactly. Zach Tom, we took with the 140th pick. He was 119 on the board, so he fell in our lap. Romeo Dobbs, we took with 132. He was 121 on the board. He fell in our lap. Bo Melton, the Seahawks took him at 229, didn't they? And he was sitting in the 146 spot, so he fell. Samori Toure, we reached a bit. We took him at 258. He was 264 on the board. Luke Tenuta, obviously, was an undrafted free agent in the 328 spot. Tariq Carpenter, we took at 228. He was 342 on the board. I think the consensus big board had that one right. Caleb Jones, look at this. Good chance Caleb Jones is going to be our swing tackle this year. I think we would all agree there's a chance that happens, right? Undrafted free agent, he was 445 on the consensus big board. And then, of course, Jonathan Ford, the big boy in the middle there, defensive tackle, 234th pick. He was 455 on the big board. We all know why he got drafted, though. It was because he had that true nose tackle type build, right? So, Tim, what sticks out to you about this 2022 draft here, man, and kind of how the consensus big board fell?
Tariq Carpenter, kind of a reach there, and a guy that we couldn't quite figure out what to do with. Linebacker, safety, we don't know. I think that experiment continues with him as he continues his journey through the NFL. So that one stood out. A little bit of a reach with Samori Toure as well. Toure is interesting to watch too, because he's kind of a guy that's gotten lost in the mix there in that wide receiver room. And maybe I was just, a year off. I thought he was going to have a year last year, and he kind of underwhelmed a little bit last season. So I'm looking for him to step up in this competitive wide receiver room this year and see if he can contribute a little bit more for sure. But Zach Tom, man, that was an unbelievable gem in that draft for sure.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like Goody reached for him either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he literally just fell right in our lap.
Just a gift from the football gods.
Yeah, exactly. Jacob, what do you think about this draft here, bub?
Yeah, most obviously glaring, which I wish I could get back, was the Tariq Carpenter. I never really understood that when we got him, because if you remember, he was kind of too small to be a linebacker, too big to be a safety. Didn't really have any other kind of skills. It seemed like I thought maybe they'd try to at least make him a special teamer guy, but the way that the roster ended up that year, he just kind of, ended up on the bubble. But then the other one that I want to highlight is just Bo Melton. Again, it wasn't our draft, but something happened in the draft where Bo Melton fell, nearly 80 some odd spots. And then the Seahawks, for whatever reason, had him on the practice squad, had him on the team, didn't like him, ended up cutting him. Packers again were able to look over, and I'm interested to see where the Packers had them. Did they rank him at 229, or was it more like 140? You know what I mean? Or maybe they even had him at like 120, something like that. So they were stoked when he got released, and now look at him. So I think Bo Melton's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah, and Tariq Carpenter, if I remember correctly, he was right on the cusp of a 9 RAS. So maybe they looked at him like, hey, look, but the athletic ability is too strong there. Wasn't he the one on Draft Night 2? They showed him wearing a Packers shirt.
Yep.
Am I thinking right? Yeah.
Yep.
So that probably played a little role into it too. Let's be honest here, man. So
Goody saw that RAS score and was like,
Giggity.
Exactly. All right. It's a good time to do this. We got a bunch of people in here, over 300 people watching right now. If you guys would do us a big favor, just take a split second here and hit that like button for us. If you like this type of content, go ahead and hit the sub button for us too here on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, on X, you can click on my profile here on Twitter and you'll see a YouTube link. Hop over there real quick and give us a like and a sub. We'd greatly appreciate it. It'll help boost the algorithm, help other Packer fans find this channel, find this content. And if you guys don't have plans for watching the draft live and you want to hop on with us and get kind of a Packers perspective for that draft, feel free to hop on here. Like I said, we'll be live for all 7 rounds. We're live on YouTube, X, and Rumble. And we're going to be doing some cool giveaways. Like I said, for our Patreon group, we're going to be giving away an autographed Paul Hornung jersey that night too. And this would be a good time to mention this. Ryan over at Packernet Podcast, where you can find this podcast and other great content if you're listening to stuff on the go, he's got a giveaway set up too. Make sure you guys and gals get entered into this contest. This is a lot of fun. This is really interactive here. Basically, Ryan Schlipp tweeted out, said, ready for the NFL draft? Join our game and win big. Predict players the Packers draft for a chance to win a $125 gift card, okay? And this is for a Brazilian steakhouse restaurant, okay? So you're going to get a chance to win a $125 gift card. It goes to, I think is he giving away 2, Jacob? Am I thinking right? Is that what you heard?
Man, I think it's
2 lucky winners will be chosen.
You can read a little bit further here. 2 lucky winners will be chosen. Don't miss your chance to enjoy a delicious feast at Fogo de Chao. Is that how you say that, Jake?
It's 2 lucky winners or 1 really lucky winner that won twice because he entered his wife's name.
Really lucky winner. You know what?
Fogo's a nice restaurant too. So if you win, you got to get dressed up real nice. Make sure you
wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
But go to his Twitter page on X here and just type in @pack_daddy and you'll see this. He may have it pinned. If not, just scroll down till you see it and you'll see a Google Docs form there. Okay. And that's going to be the form that you fill out. Make sure you do that before the draft starts on night 1. And like I said, whoever has the most accurate guess at the Packers draft class there, you're going to, like I said, get you a good meal. And take Tim's advice too. Wash your hands, wash your butt, right? You can never do that too much here, especially in 2024. So, again, thanks to Ryan and thanks to the great folks over there at Fogo doing that giveaway there for sure. So, all right. Jacob, Tim, anything else you guys want to hit on here? We can scroll on down to 2021. We're at the 50-minute mark, so we got about 10 minutes. If you guys want to hit on a little bit further here.
You had that prospect on the text thread. I don't know if we wanted to pull him up.
Gotcha. Yeah, let's see if I can find him real quick. I started to work him up before we went live, and we ran out of time, as we always do. That was Jalen Coker from Holy Cross, right? So, yeah, let me go.
I've got 33rd team if you want to.
Yeah, throw it up there, bud.
Let's do it. So I forgot who sent this your way. This was this from the Patreon?
This was on Twitter, actually. Let me give him a shout out real quick. It was in a DM. Chris Jacomet, I think is how you say it, Jacomet. Apologize if I butchered the name there. You'll get used to it listening to this joke of a podcast. But he's the one who sent it over, though. He said, really, he was in his mock draft. We took him at 245, and he said, really hoping we pick up Coker. Dude is a beast. Love his measurables, tape, interviews. Check him out if you haven't already. So go ahead, Tim. You hit on him. I'll pull up the PFF as well.
Yeah, 33rd team says Coker is a well-built receiver with the route running, strong hands, and body control required to become reliable red zone threat, though he will need to prove that he can create consistent separation against NFL competition in order to reach his full potential. So he does have a tendency to get jammed up at the line of scrimmage a little bit. You can see that over on his, on the strengths and weaknesses breakdown here. 33rd team has him 187th overall and 25th as a wide receiver, grading out at a 5.9 right now. His strengths, though, says he dictates tempo and pace, uses all of his catch radius and route technician. So he is a sure-handed route running guy. So here's a guy.
Like it. All right, cool. And I've got his PFF pulled up. You guys get ready for this. This is pretty wild here. So he's in the 160 spot. Look at those grades on the right. Keep in mind he played for Holy Cross, right? That's important to mention. Let me slide this over, see if we can get zoomed in a little bit for you guys.
Did you see that, though? They got listed at 6'3".
Yeah, they definitely got him listed a little bit bigger. Where did the 33rd team have him, Tim?
33rd team has him at 6'1", 208 pounds.
That's a little different.
Maybe he was wearing his cleats when they measured him for PFF.
Could have been. Never know about these things. So, all right. So look at the grades, though. In 2023, he was the 10th highest graded wide receiver at 89.8. In 2022, he was an 82.5, the 37th highest graded receiver. So he graded out really, really well when it comes to PFF. No doubt about that. Let's see if we can get a little bit more information here. Let me spread this over just a touch, see if this helps a little bit. So as far as, let's see here, first look, like I said, 6'3", 213 is where they got him at. He was a senior. And when you look at his stats or comparables, receiving grade was a 90.6. Drop rate was really solid at a 3.3%. Grade versus man coverage was a 79.4. So that's pretty impressive there. I think he's one of those guys that I wouldn't mind them taking a flyer, right, on someone who is a little bit later in the draft, right? Yep. It looks like Jake Shavink has it here. I think is what is that number? 6'1" and 3/8. Am I thinking right? Is that
probably? Yeah.
Yep.
He is 6'1" there. So his mama must have put those measurables in on PFF, trying to give him a little bump on the board there. So 208 though, pretty decent there. Again, he's one of those guys that played for a smaller school, but you never know, man. I would be okay with them taking him later in the draft, wouldn't you, Jake?
Oh yeah. I'm kind of like opposed to doing anything wide receiver, but if it's after the 5th round, then I say take a stab at him. There's a guy that I love, that Joshua Cephas. He's kind of in the same boat, right around the end of the draft. Grades out unbelievably well, great size and all that. But yeah, somebody that I definitely wouldn't be mad if we got him in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. So,
gotcha. Let me take one quick glance here before we wrap up and go to the consensus big board and see if we could find Coker there. And I want to see kind of how he trended here, if we can come across him here. Let's see. Coker.
I think you're in the 2019 draft still.
We're still back in 2019. Let's see who went there. DK Metcalf.
Oh, boy.
AJ Brown. Debo Samuel. Boy, that would have been nice, wouldn't it? Debo back in the day. All right, let's see here. 2024 wide receiver, Holy Cross. We're looking for Coker. Where you at, sir? Where you at? There we go.
Right there.
So he's sitting in the 245 spot. He peaked at 229. According to the consensus big board, you see back in January, he was sitting right around 305, and then took that jump up in March. So well after the combine, obviously, he probably wasn't even at the combine. I'm not sure.
Makes me think of another Packers receiver that was played at a small school, taken in the 7th round, picked 213 overall.
You're not talking about Donald Driver, are you?
Yeah, remember Donald Driver? He turned out pretty good.
That guy sounds familiar, man. Real familiar. So there you go. There's our late round gem of the day. Again, special shout out. Appreciate Mr. Chris Jacomet for sending that over on Twitter, buddy. Appreciate you taking the time to share that with me. And we'll add him to the board. I'll work him up. I imagine his board, he's going to end up pretty nice on the board. Obviously, the consensus big board will bring him down a touch, but the PFF will help raise him up. We'll see if he's got an RAS as well. The RAS site's a little bit slow right now, so we won't wait for it to load. I'll try to get all that information. Maybe we can share that tomorrow on the show. So as we get ready to wrap up here, anything else, Jacob? Anything else you want to hit on, Bo?
I mean, if we had time, I have one guy I wanted to check out.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Do we? All right, what would you rather look at? Another tackle or a defensive lineman that's pretty sneaky?
Where's the tackle at?
So it would be PFF's ranking at 290.
Okay. And it's an offensive tackle?
Yeah. Eastern Kentucky, Josiah Ezrahim.
Okay.
He only had 2 years of eligibility. His first year in 2022, he 61.2, not great, but in 2023, ended up with a 84.7, 0 sacks, 0 hits allowed. His run blocking grade was 84.3, 80.1 pass blocking grade. He ran really great in this, or blocked great in the zone for 86.5, and he's a true right tackle. So I was thinking, if we could find, there he is, 309, peaked at 133. What?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting there. What happened, right? He's up 23. So look, here you go. In January. And you know what? That's a little more realistic than just right after the combine. You know what I'm saying? So they seen something in him there right at the end of the season. He went from 427 all the way up to 150, and then slowly went back down through February, right? About mid-February, got down to 317, continued to sink, bottomed out at 370 again, then jumped back up to 287. And now he's sitting at what mark is he sitting at right now? 309 currently. That's pretty wild, man.
I mean, look, he's right below Coker. That's the other Coker that people were talking about was Andrew Coker.
Yeah.
TCU guy. But also I've heard good things about Jeremy Flax. And, so yeah, I thought that may be a decent guy to take and plus look up there is Travis Glover. We've talked about him. So late round tackles that possibly could have a little bit of a, impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
33rd team has him 320.
Okay.
29th overall offensive tackle.
So he could go anywhere from the 4th or 5th round to undrafted, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep an eye on. Cool. And I'll tell you this about Eastern Kentucky, being from Kentucky and understanding like the demographic there. UK was like the pride and joy of Kentucky athletes. Everybody wanted to be a Wildcat. If you wasn't good enough to play for the Wildcats, you went to EKU, and it was a party school, let me tell you. So our boy Josiah, he's up in Green Bay. We're not going to keep him away from the Oval Office. That's what I'm talking about. So got to be keep an eye on that guy. If you go to Eastern Kentucky University, you know how to do some keg stands. I promise you that. So, but yeah, I'll work him up, Jacob, because I don't think he's on my board. So we'll get him in. We'll get also Coker that our buddy Chris recommended. We'll get him worked into the board too. And anybody else, Tim, Jacob, anybody comes across, text them to me, and we'll slam them into the board here because we're coming down a stretch, man. We're less than a week away from round one. So it's 6 days and 23 hours from now, actually, if I'm looking at the clock correctly. So it's going to be absolutely awesome. Tim, you got anything else, Bo?
No, man, just excited. I can't wait for the draft, dude. This is going to be great. We'll keep our eyes peeled on any of these last-minute additions to our list here for sure. Looking for some of those sneaky late round values. Discount bin shopping with Jacob for sure. I like it.
No, he's all about it. So again, guys, make sure you're subbed to the channel, all that good stuff, so you can join us for the draft party. We're excited about hanging out all night, and just it's going to be a good time. Like I said, going to have some special guests coming in too. We're going to be rapid fire with the information. It's going to be an absolute blast. What do you laugh? What did Eric Sutherland say in the chat?
I can't put it in the chat, but it's hilarious.
Is it Sutherland?
Of course.
Of course, it's Sutherland, right? Yeah, almighty, let's go. All right, we're out of here. This happens every time.
He was in the pool.
I was in the pool. It was shrinkage. Right. You can't say shrinkage without hitting them with this.
Giggity.
You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, we're out of here. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. There's a chance that we go live a couple times tomorrow. Depends on the weather. If I get rained out, I may just randomly go live mid-morning, early morning, something like that. And I'm thinking we're probably not going to do date night tomorrow night because we're expecting about 60 people here at the house on Saturday. So I need you guys to pray for me. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert. So when we throw these shindigs at the property, I just kind of hide, and Mandy gets mad. She has to find me over by the creek. I'm skipping rocks down by the water, trying to hide out. So y'all say a quick little prayer for me. Not going to be comfortable for old Clay Dog to this Saturday. So anyway, thanks for everybody hanging out with us. Jacob, Tim, thank you guys for your time, and it's always a blast talking ball with y'all. As always,
Those of you listening on the pod.
Exactly. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
The power sweep actually is the lead play in our offense. Yes, a YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet. Get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.